Welcome to KOIN Conversations. I'm Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart, and as you can see, we are not in the studio today. We're in Canby, out at the Swan Island Dahlias, where they are in full bloom for the late summer season. We've got a great pop of color and a great conversation ahead with Heather, who really talks to us about how all of this has come to be today for you to enjoy for the last few weeks of September as we work our way towards fall. Here's a look at our conversation. Here we are in Canby, and I want to introduce our brand new friend, Heather Schloem. Thank you so much for having us out here at your beautiful farm. And I just really want to kind of start off and ask you, what has been the timeline of all of this being grown to what it is today?
You know, we start over every season, replanting and letting them grow. So they take about 90 days to bloom. So we start planting late April through May and sometimes into early June, just depending on the season and what Mother Nature lets us plant. We plant 3 rows at a time. And so about 90 days after planting, we get to see the gorgeous flowers. So it takes just a little while. They're a little later summer blooming flower. Most people are expecting, you know, that June, July flower, and these guys, you have to wait just a little longer for them.
Which is good to know, because I have made the mistake of purchasing them already grown in a pot at a local spot.
Right.
In the spring. I'm like,
right.
Oh, I'm going to get these blooms all summer long. That's not the case, because once they kind of give their display of the fall, or their pop of color towards the fall, they're done.
Right. They're going to bloom from August until frost if you've planted them in the ground and are starting them in that springtime. It sounds like if you've gotten them in the spring already blooming, they've been started in a greenhouse and then are already going to give you a little longer growing and blooming season. But typically in our area, if you're going to plant in the ground, you've got to wait a little longer. So,
and you all have mastered that, because I mean, just standing here looking at the fields behind us, it's impressive. And this wasn't something that is just a few years old or was started overnight. Can you kind of talk me through how this has been in your family and how it all came to be?
Yeah, so our family purchased the farm in 1963, and we are on our 99th year as a business. So It was started in 1927. On Swan Island and in the Selwood area in Portland by the McCarter family. And our family were dairy farmers in Bellingham, Washington, and just had a side business as Dahlias. And anything our family does never turns out to be a small thing. Everybody tends to grow things big. And so when the McCarter family decided to sell their business, they didn't have anybody in their family, so they went around and visited other small growers. And so my grandparents were so excited that the McCarter family was coming to visit their farm and had dinner with them. And about 2 weeks later came a letter in the mail with the chance to purchase the farm. And so my grandparents were thrilled to no longer be milking cows, because they were dairy farmers. And so they packed up their 5 kids and came down and purchased the farm, and ever since have been growing dahlias. So it moved in the 40s out here into the Canby area and onto this farmland just a little later. And then in 63, obviously, they purchased the land and was mostly wholesale at that time, and has slowly grown into being solely just retail. So we just sell to the public.
That is incredible. And then on top of that, you also are providing a fun service for people, because it's free to come out and see this.
It is free. So we used to do a festival just 6 days a year and had a big indoor display, and that was prior to COVID. And then when COVID hit, COVID took away our indoor ability, and we decided, you know, the flowers are going to bloom regardless, and we knew we needed to stay outside. And we didn't want people to not be able to come enjoy the flowers. And we thought, what a better way? Flowers are blooming. Yeah. People needed to get outside. And so we decided, let's just make it 2 months. They're blooming. People can come enjoy. It's free anyways. And so we changed the festival to be 2 months. So we're open Wednesday through Sunday. 5 days a week, you can come park, explore, see the flowers in full bloom. And we now have free music on the weekends, 12 to 4. There are rotating food booths. There are classes to take. We have our big gift shop, which is the Mercantile. Lots to see and do. And we're one of the last flower festivals that's free. So I think it's really special, because near and dear to my heart is that I want anybody and everybody to be able to come and enjoy our flowers. And people come and paint, people come sit with a book and read. And I think as much time as we spend taking care of the fields, it's really special to me that people can come and just enjoy our hard work, because it takes a lot of work. All of the weeds are hand pulled. There's just a lot of maintenance that goes into it. And then they are all harvested. So we dig these fields every winter and replant and start over every year. So there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Absolutely. For 2 months of some incredible sights. And I have no part in the success of how they bloom, but I almost feel like I have a connection because KOIN 6 has a camera here.
Yeah.
And I watch the process. I watch the sprinklers start up. I watch all of the equipment come out. And I think maybe a lot of our KOIN 6 viewers might have that same relation. And now to see them in bloom in late summer, early fall, it's kind of like, okay, I got to go out there and actually see it for myself, because it's one thing for people to see it where we're talking right now, but to actually be out here, and I mean, the size of these flowers are just incredible. How many different varieties do you guys have?
We currently sell about 375 varieties. So, and we try and stay right around that. So every year we discontinue a few, and then we always are trying to introduce a few. So we are growing about 15,000 seedlings every year, and about 5 years later introduce about 10 new varieties. So it takes about 5 years in production to go from 15,000 seedlings down to 10 that we introduce. So we're always discarding some and then bringing in the new ones that we believe are the best out of that group. And so, you know, we depend on you. So like we're watching the news, weather. So what you put out is like so important. And I don't think, you know, some people are just watching like, what do I wear? What do I do?
Which is also important, but more important for them
us.
too. Yeah.
I mean, like I don't think sometimes people realize how important like your forecast depends on like what we do tomorrow. Yeah. What do we do in 2 hours? Like, can the farm equipment go out? What does our workday look like? I mean, it's funny, like how often are we looking at that radar? How often are we listening and reading? And I think it's funny as farmers, like how much we are watching what you are putting out. And I mean, I kind of laugh because I don't know that you know that, but we are literally watching, reading, and I mean, probably every farmer is doing that, but like our world depends on what you do. And so I think it's kind of interesting, like even like for the festival, like how many workers we have and what it's going to look like this weekend and what our food vendors should be preparing for and our tents and like everything right now, our world depends on weather and our fertilizing and our watering schedule, and everything has changed over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Climate change, everything has changed for us as farmers. And people are like, well, it's always worked for me. I've always done the same thing. And I say, well, as farmers, our practices have had to change.
Yeah.
We don't do the same thing every year here on the farm. We have to adjust on what the weather does. I mean, a few years ago we had 115-degree temperatures. I mean, maybe a few more years ago. But,
you know, but so, it was hot.
Oh, yeah, and so we have to change every year. So we don't do the same thing every year, and every farmer has to do that. But people will say, well, I set my timers in my yard for this every year and it works, but it's not working. Something's wrong with your dahlias. And we're like, well, what you did last year won't work this year. You know, you have to adjust. And
you definitely do. And I appreciate you saying that because it feels like it has an impact when I'm giving a forecast. But I myself, amateur gardener. I have a very small patio in downtown Portland, and it's filled to the brim with flowers. And so when I'm forecasting, I understand that, you know, last year I didn't have to water as frequently, or, you know, all of the little micro things that you do on a daily or weekly basis, it changes every time. So I definitely know that it has an impact on what you guys are able to provide. And I know that you guys not only just sell the tubers for people here locally, but it's across the country. I have a old meteorology professor who lives in Denver, and every year she has a garden of dahlias that she blooms. And I messaged her last year and was like, oh my gosh, I just went to this incredible dahlia field, Swan Island. And she's like, oh my gosh, I buy all my tubers from them. They're amazing. So your guys' impact although it's local for us here, it has a wider net.
I think, dahlias are special because, pretty much everybody knows what a rose is, what a tulip is, but dahlias can come from like 1 inch in diameter up to those 12, 14-inch diameter. And I think that it draws people in because there's so much variety and so many different colors. We just haven't got a blue dahlia. No green, no blue. So maybe someday.
But you see that on the internet somewhere. It's AI. It's completely fake.
A lot of that going on, but it's not real yet.
Yeah, and I was seeing a few images too where you guys have some weird, on some of your posters, weird shaded colors, but it's for the folks who are colorblind. Talk to me about how you all are able to give that sight to the people who are colorblind.
Yeah, we are working with Mountain Hood Territory, who's done a really awesome job of working with us during the month of September, especially. We started a little early this year in August, but they set up a program last year for Color Blindness Month, Awareness Month, and they have provided us with glasses for green and red color blindness, so you can check out the glasses while you're here and be able to see those colors for people that are colorblind. And I have seen some of the most incredible experiences from people that are colorblind. From, I think one of my very first people that saw them last year or put on the glasses last year was an elderly gentleman in his 90s who had never seen color the way he got to see them. And he literally stood on our mercantile porch and tears just ran down his eyes. And he said, "You don't understand what I'm experiencing. I have never seen color like this." And my heart sank and I cried watching him experience what he was experiencing. So many people check them out every day. We are really protective of the glasses and really want them used just for the people that need them. But it is incredible to watch that. So Mountain Hood Territory and us have had a great relationship being able to offer that for people all month long. And they take the glasses to other festivals and allow people to experience that. And so I think it's special because we have such a variety of color. And so people get to experience those. And the glasses, once they experience them, they can go and purchase them. And we have like a great discount for people. So people are really enjoying that opportunity.
That's incredible. Well, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be back. And would you mind maybe taking us on just a quick little tour through the fields?
Let's go.
Let's do it. We'll be right back. So tell me, we just off camera, we were kind of discussing that you guys not only get the tubers from the fields, but you also are picking and cutting the flowers yourselves. What is that process like to still be able to keep everything?
Yeah, so we're cutting on average about 10,000 cut flower stems a day. So it keeps us busy. There's a whole crew that are doing those cut flowers. And then they come in bunches. There's one variety per bunch.
Okay.
And then they go through a hot water treatment, which I think is so unique. Most people don't know that we do that. So they go in 160 to 180 degrees, 2 to 3 inches deep. We use a plastic or a metal bucket. Flower heads are outside the edge of the bucket, so that's really important. And they sit in that water for a minimum of an hour. Ideally, we'd like it to get back to room temperature, but on a hot day, obviously, it takes longer to get there.
It's going to stay hot.
Cool day, it gets back cooler, but it's not putting the water in your vase or something like that. It's going to cool too quickly, a little amount of water.
Yeah.
So it's really thinking about it ahead of time. So it opens their drinking mechanism back up in the stems. There's not been a lot of scientific work done on it, but it's been being done before our family purchased.
You're like, if it works, we'll just keep doing it.
So we're going to be working with some of the floral industry companies that do the floral foods in the water. So we're going to hopefully get some more insight on why it works.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
I mean, it makes sense with even the air. When it's hot, it expands. So
we know
why
that
not
they
the
kind
flowers?
of block themselves off, and once that hot water hits them, they open up and they're real free drinkers. So they drink a lot of water in the first 24 to 48 hours.
And how long do they typically last once you cut them? In case maybe even people have grown their own and they say, well, I'm debating, should I maybe leave it outside? Should I take it in?
Yeah, so we say a good 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
Your big giant dinner plates, you know, it seems like once they open, they're already starting to get kind of old on the back. You can pull a few petals. They have a little shorter life. The tight ball forms, you you don't see as much age on them. So I feel like they last the longest, or at least it feels like they last the longest. So we say typically 3 to 5 days. Sometimes people feel like they last a lot longer than that. So typically 3 to 5 days.
Okay, and when people are choosing their tubers or maybe are coming out here, is there a favorite?
Oh, of course I have favorites. Michaela Miranda is probably one of my most favorite. It's lavender and white. It's about a 7-inch bloom.
Okay.
It's short and compact, and it's an early bloomer. And typically when you get a little larger blooms, they tend to be a little later in blooming. So, you know, the smaller they are, the earlier blooming they are. Larger takes longer. And so it's unique that she blooms earlier. And I love purple. So it kind of... Yeah. And I will say this variety right behind us is brand new this year.
This one right here?
Yeah, Dreamland. And I found it in the seedling patch 5 or 6 years ago. And I had to stop at that moment, take a video of it and say, this is it. This is what we dream for when we're looking in the seedling patch. It's that blush pink that everybody wants. And I called it Dreamland right at that moment. And I finally got to introduce it this year. So it's kind of like on my top list. Because it's that compact, really easy growing plant, because it's not going to need a ton of staking. It's really lush. It's that beautiful soft
perfect
color.
Size flower too, the happy
size.
medium.
It's really lush. If you put it in a bunch, I mean, you literally have like this huge bunch of flowers. I mean, its foliage just makes it huge. And so it makes you feel like you have this gorgeous armful of flowers, and you really don't have that much.
You have 4 or 5.
And so I think there's something about that, and that typical big dahlia form. I think that most people relate dahlias to. So
yeah, and you were also talking about just the different petal sizes and how the bees sometimes have to fight to pollinate different flowers.
Yeah, so the tighter, really ball shape that bees have trouble getting inside of them, whereas something that's open centered, the bees can just be in those all day long. So even if we're going to try and cut some of those open center varieties, we like to be in them early in the morning, because late in the afternoon the bees are so busy in them. And most of the bees won't even bother us, but
they're so busy. They're
busy, and our honeybees are like the most important insect out here. And so we have hives on the farm that a beekeeper takes care of, thank goodness, and we have our own honey, which I love. Ooh. But without the bees, we would be in trouble, because they take care of our flowers for us.
They're the business. They're the
they are
the third
the
party.
Farmer in their own way. So they do a lot of business out here for us.
And what do you think is one of the key takeaways when you see people who maybe have never experienced a flower farm? I think that your guys' was one of the first I had ever been to. What does that sense mean, to be able to see people out here and also know that they can take home what they see out here?
Yeah, I think for us, it's the variety, the mass amount of things going on, realizing what it takes to grow in this mass. I mean, people are like, well, where are all the weeds? Well, we hand pull all the weeds. We're not spraying the weeds, we're hand pulling them. What do you mean? Where are your weeds? Well, of course there's weeds in different spots. You're going to find weeds. I mean, but our fields have to be clean somehow. And people are like, oh, well, you don't dig all these. Well, yeah, we do. I mean, so I think just learning, it's kind of like going and seeing a dairy farm and realizing that that's where your milk comes from. Well, how do these flowers get from one place to another, and learning all the different steps. So I think it's just cool to see what it takes. And, you know, we don't have a 9-to-5 job. We have a 24/7 job when irrigation has to be turned on and off, and
at all hours of the day, and determined by the weather, and there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, a lot goes into it. But we love it. I couldn't be more happy. And, you know, I'm exhausted, but...
Is there a time you get to take a break in the season, or after the season has completed?
Not really.
Yeah.
We go from one thing to the next. So there really isn't, you know, we're not really like a Christmas tree farm or a pumpkin farm. There really isn't a downtime. We go from one thing
Because
to the
then
next.
it's shipping everything.
Yeah. I feel like we just are rolling right from one thing to the next. Like right now we're working just about ready to finish our catalog that comes out in November and December. And so behind the scenes, there's always something happening, even if you don't see it right outside behind the scenes.
Yeah.
In my office, I'm doing things. And yeah, I mean, but it's what we do. We love it.
And you get beautiful views like this as well. Well, I know you're extremely busy. I'm going to let you get back to work. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to get some more video. That way people at home can kind of check it out and just get a sense if they're not able to make it out here. But again, how much longer can they come and see this?
Through September 28th.
September 28th.
5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday.
Clock is ticking. Come down to Canby, Swan Island Dahlias. Heather, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
Very private, since we're kind of on the corner.